Hello and welcome to Voices from the Mausoleum. Happy Pride. Tonight we are celebrating queer representation in horror, why it's important, and just going to talk about some of our experiences in horror and the representation that matters to us. Off the top, just want to do a quick reminder that our Pride March is up, and all sales for our Pride Month. For our Pride March this month, we'll be going to the National Coalition for the Homeless and the work that they do with displaced queer youth. Uh, Joining us today, friend of the channel, friend in real life, Chris, the love for horror.
That's
Welcome
me.
back. Hello.
We're here. And we're here.
We're here.
Somebody had
And
to
we're
say
tired.
it. Somebody had to, and we're exhausted. Somebody had to say it.
Also back, friend of the channel, friend in real life, the fabulous Joshua from Psychic Productions. Hi, Joshua.
Hello. I'm
Hi.
glad to be here.
Yeah, so happy to have you.
Also queer and tired, so.
Also queer and tired.
Just part of existence anymore.
So we have to label this like whole entire life. It's just like queer and tired.
You know her, you love her, Angel, Queen of the Mausoleum.
Absolutely.
Also a friend of the channel.
Also friend of a channel and friend in real life.
And friend in real life.
I don't know why I made that a slogan for the episode. I think it just comes from being queer and tired.
Which is
Actually,
also the
Look at the
slogan.
episode.
It should just be the name of the episode. Oh man. So over the years, queer representation in horror has had its ups and its downs, and it's gone through a lot of changes. From coded characters from way back when to, pretty healthy representation. I think we're in a better place now. Not the best place, all around, but a better place.
Yeah.
So let's talk about it. Let's just dive in. Chris, queer representation in horror. Why does it matter to you? Why is it important?
I think the biggest thing with the queer representation is it makes people feel comfortable. It's making people feel more comfortable with their sexuality. They see it on these screens. It's just like when it comes down to like if you see a celebrity that's matching your same sexuality, you feel more comfortable because you're like, oh, they're famous and so many people love them and they're the same type of person I am. And it's always going to be big, and I'm happy that it's getting bigger and we see it in a lot more movies and TV shows. And it's just really making the younger individuals who are struggling and might still be in the closet or just struggling to find who they are, just be open about it and feel more comfortable.
Absolutely. Yeah, right. I think seeing ourselves in others gives us the permission to be okay, right? We don't need the permission, but I think especially as young folks, right, we're always sort of looking for that that mirror, to ourselves.
Yeah.
Josh, what about you?
I mean, pretty much exactly what Chris said. I think it's really important to have the opportunity for young people who are queer to see themselves on screen and realize it's okay. I can be whatever I am, and it's not a problem. But for me as well, I mean, as I've gotten older, I've realized that those are kind of the stories I'm just more interested in seeing now. And I mean, for me, I want to see me on screen. Even I'm not a kid, but I still want to see myself on screen. And
yes,
if I have a choice between going to watch a cishet horror movie and a queer horror movie, because that's the one that I'm drawn to, because those are the characters I can identify with and associate with. Most of the people in my circle are queer, and so those are the lives I know, and those are the stories I know, and those are the ones I'm interested in spending time with, I guess. So.
Oh my God, yeah. It's very funny. It has to be a very outstanding movie with straight people for me to like really be like, okay, I'm in. Yeah, yes, I will look up. I'm like, is there a gay person in this? Is there a queer person in this? They have to work extra hard to get my dog. But yeah. So right, Josh. Angel, what are you thinking? What are you feeling?
I'll try to keep mine as short and sweet as you guys did, because I know we all feel similarly about it at the core. And I think for me as an individual, I grew up in a home where that was like not allowed. And I distinctly remember this weird conversation in the car with my dad one time where I was told that like if I ever brought home and this was when I was way too young to be saying something like this to me, you should never say this to your child, but it's just such a weird thing to say at the age I was, because I think I was under the age of 10, but he said, if you ever brought home someone who was of the same gender, or is a different ethnicity, then, you couldn't possibly be my child, because my child wouldn't do that. So most of my adult relationships we just didn't talk about them, because it was, I've had more serious relationships with women than I ever have with men. And so it was it was very hard to be close to my family when I was in those relationships, because I felt like I had to stay away. And so I grew up with that feeling of isolation, of you're not supposed to do this. And like the people who are supposed to love you unconditionally and the family that you're supposed to have, you won't have that if you go this path. Right. And so, seeing it in horror earlier on in my life really helped me kind of not so much care, because I was in a position where like, even when I was a teenager, I still had those relationships where some people can't do that. Some people are not able to do that. That's not safe for them to do that. So they just don't get to experience it at all. And I think one of the reasons I had the courage to do that is because I saw myself in characters that were on screen that were in front of me. And I saw them at such a young age that gave me, kind of this sense of self to continue to be who I was, whether it involved my parents or not. And then, it's come for whatever reason, it's different now. I don't know what happened. I know when I, came to my parents to tell them that my partner was trans, I really just assumed I wasn't going to have parents, and they've been very supportive in ways that I didn't expect. But that's not the household I grew up in, which made it harder to allow myself to feel the things I wanted to feel. And so it kind of same thing as what you guys were saying, it makes you feel less alone. And it was something where it was like, maybe if there are other people like that, then maybe it's okay if I don't have these people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You touch on something really important, Angel, right? It's like cultural attitudes can change over time. And I think so much of that
Yeah.
has to do with representation, positive representation, not just, the
No,
queer side
yeah.
character who's there for
Yes.
like,
Yeah.
shits and
Yes.
giggles, right?
Because it can be harmful too. Yeah.
Yeah. So positive representation is huge. Horror for sure, but like, funny enough, I think really soaps did a lot of that for, as a matter of fact, the daytime TV, I think for
Yeah.
sure, it had a lot of that in the beginning. But anywho, that's just such a huge thing. And then when we're kids, we internalize so much of this messaging.
Mm-hmm.
Of is it safe to come out, is it safe to be myself, what part of me do I have to hide, what part of me can I celebrate? And these are really core reasons why representation is so important.
Mm-hmm.
So let's look at I almost feel like I'm running like group therapy right now. I'm having like such
Let's
like
go through.
We're just gonna talk through everything, everyone.
Yeah, we're gonna get through this.
I literally just like looked outside of myself for a split second there. I was like, you sound like you're running a group right now. Let's chill out for a second.
Oh, Dice says bonjour. Hi, Dice. Happy Pride.
Hello.
I had a great conversation with them in their 5 Influential Horror about queer representation and influential horror. If you want to check that out, you should. It's in the link for 5 Influential Horror. Just so Maya didn't see an outright non-binary. Oh,
Yeah.
that's true. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's true.
And I think that's something that again, why I'm drawn more towards explicitly queer horror films as I get older, because I'm just tired of queer coded. I'm tired.
Yeah.
I'm tired of, well, they might be.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's so fair.
And that I mean that they slash them is it exists as a pun basically. That the whole point of the movie is for the pun of the title because of they slash them. But so yeah, you don't get the non-binary representation explicitly as much as you'd like it to be there.
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of people were very disappointed by that movie when it came out because they were expecting it to be something that it didn't end up being. So
I heard that too. Yeah, I haven't seen it,
Me
but I've
either.
heard that too.
Yeah, I haven't watched it.
it's a typical cabin in the woods kind of slash
Okay.
a camp slasher movie.
Yeah.
It's I think it might have its heart in the right place. I just don't think that it was given the permission to be what it needed to be. And as a horror movie itself, there's really no stakes there because no one is really in spoilers. No one is
Okay.
really in any danger that is like a main character. So
Oh,
Interesting.
yeah. Dice says, I agree with Joshua. They them could have gone farther and done better, but it wasn't atrocious at least. Yeah, because
it wasn't. Yeah.
Steve said something's fun, like very like on point about the concept of it not being like there. A lot of queer characters are really badly mistreated as their for their representation. It's not really representing, it's tearing down or watering down or a very specific archetype that's dumb and over the top and doesn't contribute anything, or there's very like, like it's very like yeah, it's been, and like one of the first movies that ever had like serious contributing queer characters is Children, it's a long title, Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things. It's old, it's from like the yeah, and so they have a queer couple, a presumed couple, that are funny and engaging, and they play like an active part of the story, and there's no one mistreats them. It's not about the hate, it's not about like they just were friends of this group, and you know what I mean. And it's like one of the first earliest representations I saw of something like that, because usually it was just not the case.
Right.
Yeah. Plus, no self-respecting gay man is going to vogue to pink. I'm sorry.
Maybe swing from a tightrope or something, but not regular rope. Let's explore a little bit of like our first like experiences with like queer representation. Do we remember the first time seeing, I mean queer representation in horror, but I mean I guess we could also talk a little bit about other characters that we might think of that kind of shaped it. Chris.
I have two because I'm an overachiever. Obviously, as a huge Nightmare on Elm Street fan, Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge.
Yeah.
That is one of the queerest movies I have ever seen in my life. Yeah. And I think it's funny because obviously that came out in '85. So I wasn't even a thought process yet. But when I watch it now, you can just tell everything about it. And I think it's funny that they originally denied it because it was the height of AIDS epidemic at that time. Yeah. And they really did try to deny it. And they used to tell Patton that he was too gay during it and this and that. But I think it's nice that they finally came out and they embrace what they did during it. They had all the initials, like the intentional subtext. You don't just write a script,
yeah,
all this stuff, and then deny that it's not supposed to be gay. Like it is very gay. But
the coach isn't an S&M leather daddy.
Yeah.
That's just that's his Sunday best.
You wander into the bar and there you are.
Yeah, what kind of bar are we in? Oh, and then you died by towels in a locker room shower
while being tied up. So.
Okay, while being tied up, exactly.
Okay.
And also just like Jesse panicking when he's going to kiss his girlfriend. Like,
oh yeah.
I mean, you look at the man and you're like, that is a homosexual. And that's that. True. And I know the movie still gets so much hate to this day sometimes.
I love that one.
I
Oh, I
think
love
it's
to.
phenomenal, and I'm really happy that they're finally embracing it, and now it's just a cult classic for our community.
Yeah.
It's just top notch.
Dice is a fan too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's just so hard though because they ruined his life for so long.
yeah.
The main
Oh.
actor. The I have they did a great documentary. I'm sure that you've all heard of or seen. Scream Queen. About
Mhm.
and the people who directed that. I've gotten to know them because they do the audio for one of my features that's coming out this year, and they're actually today doing a presentation of that documentary at Warner Brothers Studios
Oh, nice.
with Mark Patton. So
Okay.
that's a coincidence you brought that up then, Chris. So
Yeah.
but it's just that's a sad example of a movie that is great representation for us now, but really hurt
Yeah.
somebody when it was made, and that's
Absolutely.
unfortunate.
And I know they said that they put it out at that time to try to get people to embrace themselves during this AIDS epidemic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's still okay to be gay, but I think it really hurt them because that's what they intentionally wanted, but they denied it all at the beginning.
Yeah,
You
they didn't stand
don't
behind it. So
don't
Right.
deny it right at the beginning when you have something in mind that you want to help people. And I think that was a big downfall for it. I personally love it. I think it's a great representation of queer in the horror community.
Yeah. Dice says it's their favorite of the franchise.
It's a top-notch Nightmare on Elm Street.
It's
film.
one of only 3 in the whole franchise that I even can watch. So yeah, I agree. It's a good one.
It's just a lot of fun too. It's a more like
It is.
I can't say like upbeat, but it is kind of more upbeat
it's a
than
Yeah.
cheerful one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I know like Patton was nervous at the beginning for doing it, but I mean, he watched Johnny Depp build his whole entire career on the first one. I think anybody would have been lucky to take a spot like that. And I feel like now he probably doesn't really regret it because he's getting so much love and it is a cult classic.
Mhm.
But I couldn't
Yeah.
imagine going through that and kind of getting stuck there. But it's a great movie overall.
Oh,
And
I
it's
mean,
one of the only examples I can think of off the top of my head of a scream queen who's male. So that's
Yes.
exciting too, because
Yeah.
you don't get a lot of that representation.
No.
Yeah.
not at all. And I think a big factor of it is being the 80s. It was so
Yeah.
rare for people to really stand by the message. Like, you had, I mean, B. Arthur spoke up, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Madonna,
Right.
Yeah.
like
Madonna
it's very
existed.
hard to speak up and still have a career.
Yeah. Cher spoke up. She was a
Cher, the people we worship
Cher is a
today.
queen.
We
Yeah,
worship them
for
for a
real.
reason.
Yeah, it's like of course it's those people, like you're just like, yeah.
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 The ones.
Yeah.
And then my second one is clearly Jennifer's Body, no doubt, always top notch.
Yeah.
I think that was definitely, one of my gay awakenings. It's just how it is. Because first off, Megan Fox. That's all you have to say. Because you have to remember, this is Megan Fox Transformers days. She
Yeah.
was the hottest shit for the longest time during those Transformers days. And they were very open in this movie about it. I know Megan Fox, like Jennifer, makes that statement of like, I go both ways, like automatically putting in the bisexuality, and then her and Needy's kiss. Like they were
Yeah.
very, very open about it. And I know it did like drop in the box office. It was not good when it first came out. I think they only made like $16 million. But
Yeah.
you have to remember, you have teenage boys who don't like this queer kind of situation.
Well, because she's also like a strong character. They both are. They're both very like strong female leads. And I think that when you put 2 strong females in the room and they kiss, then yes, the little hetero boys got issues. Yes.
Yeah. And I think it's also, you have to remember Jennifer's eating boys. So
yeah, I
that
love that.
probably didn't.
That's her favorite thing that she's ever done is Jennifer's Body.
Because it's a fantastic film. And I thought they did such a great job because they were very open about it. It's not like any kind of subtle thing. Like it's straight up, hey, they're gonna kiss, and everybody's gonna have to accept it.
Yeah.
And I'm a big fan of that one.
What was that? Oh 09
Yeah, I think it was 09.
Yeah.
was Jennifer's body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy.
It was also it was just a very weird movie for a lot of people too, because the writer Diablo Cody followed up her win from with an Oscar of Juno with this movie, and everyone's like, "What is this? What is going on here? This Oscar-winning screenwriter is doing this weird horror film, and what is that?" So I think it came out at a very odd time, but I also think it only got made because Diablo Cody won the Oscar. Partially at least. So,
but I know it got extra big right after the Me Too movement.
Mm-hmm.
That was when it skyrocketed.
And, it's a cult classic now, I would say, or getting.
I feel like there's been a massive resurgence in that in the past couple of years.
Yeah, easily at least once a day, I will see a Jennifer's Body post on Twitter.
Yeah, it's really
once a day,
fun.
And I'm not complaining. I love that movie.
And it
Well,
was
the best cult classics are the ones that usually were ahead of their time.
Yeah,
that's true. Well, and I remember like learning more about her later in life, and just about like Megan Fox, sorry. Like what she went through and how she was like the way she was treated on like the set of Transformers, and this was her first opportunity as an actress to be something she wanted to be. And it wasn't just around her attractiveness. It wasn't just about putting her in specific clothing. Like, yeah, it was an element, right? But there was so much more depth to that character. And that's like, and it was like her first chance that anybody ever took her serious enough to let her take a character and make it her own and do something with it. And I was so grateful on her behalf that like she had that, because when you read about the way she was treated in Hollywood, like it's garbage and it sucks bad. And so it's cool to know that also was like a really great opportunity for her as an individual too.
Yeah, I fully agree.
Yeah. Josh, what are some of your picks or some of your queer characters that you've,
Well, the earliest queer representation that I remember from horror is very, very subtle. And if you blink and you'll miss it, but it's Rocky Horror Picture Show. It's not a very obvious film at all, but no, I mean, it was on every Halloween. It was on Comedy Central, and that was one of the things that I watched first, I think, for horror, and it was certainly I knew I was queer before I watched it, but I mean, it was certainly one of those, oh well, this is exciting, all of this interesting representation on screen. Those were not the exact words I used at the time because I wasn't thinking about that. But that's the film that I probably remember most explicitly seeing queer characters in horror, is that film. And that's because before that, we didn't have, because I'm older, I think, than some people in the room. So we didn't have internet back in my day, and I didn't.
We were just getting it in my day. It was still brand new.
We didn't stream things because that didn't exist.
No.
And, so I mean, my mother didn't buy things, get movies at the rental shop that were horror. It's not like she said no. It's just they never crossed her mind to rent them, so therefore I didn't get to rent them. So it was whatever popped on television. And I know I talked about this with Angel for what Comedy Central had for some reason always American Werewolf in London on screen. That was always on there, but it wasn't really queer representation, that film.
Sure.
Although that for many, I think that transformation scene is quite a queer awakening for many of many a young gay man. That's another story. But no, I mean, Rocky Horror is I mean, talk about a cult classic. It's a film that did things that probably no one would have ever expected it to do, and continues to still amaze people today. So
I agree, and they were confident about it. They went into it, and anybody who's watching, if you don't like Rocky Horror Picture Show, try again. Trust me. Just the songs get so stuck in your head, but I just love And Tim Curry has always been a phenomenal actor.
Yeah.
He's phenomenal. And the fact that he was like, yep, this is it. We're doing it. I will dress up however you want.
Yeah.
He's what made that movie.
Oh, for sure. No, I
Mhm.
mean, you can't ever see a production of that show and not compare Frankenfurter to Tim Curry, because
Tim
Tim
Curry.
Curry is Tim Curry. But it's the same thing with any role of Tim Curry's, really.
Yeah,
I
That's
mean,
true.
they're remaking Clue, and I'm going to compare the Butler to
man.
him.
Oh yeah. That's
and
my favorite Tim Curry movie is
it's
Clue.
so good.
I love Clue. Yeah, it's so good.
And I know Bill Skarsgård did a great job in it, but I mean, I still couldn't help but compare him to Tim Curry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And be like, well, I mean, you did a good job, but I really loved Tim Curry as Pennywise. I mean,
Yeah.
This one was on Dice's influential as well. Like I told
Mhm.
Angel, it was shown to me when I was 14 by my parents. Similarly, I do have to throw beef from Phantom of the Paradise.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes. I didn't see Phantom of the Paradise till more recently.
I still haven't seen it.
Fantastic. Fantastic. I love rock operas.
I'll have to check it out.
It's so
I just
fun.
haven't seen it.
Yeah. Angel, what are you shouting out?
I have two. So honestly, as much as the show comes up, it's not going to surprise anyone who's had a more than 5-minute conversation with me. But my first time ever seeing anything that resonated with me on a queer level or on the TV or through media like that was Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I worship that show. Like if there was a Buffy cult, I almost guarantee you I would be running it. Like I'm absolutely obsessed with that show. I can't put the love I have for it into words. That's not possible. But I came into Buffy when it was doing reruns. It was probably around, season maybe 2 or 3, when I really started getting to see them more like as they're coming out. Maybe actually it might've been more 4. But so, I was always very Willow Oz. That was like the perfect pairing. There's nothing better than that ever in the world, right? And then they go to college and Willow meets Tara. And Willow that's when she starts diving into magic. And that's really when the Willow character arc in general just goes really, really, really great. But in particular, so I remember I used to watch this show on the TV in the living room. And I remember once I learned that that was the direction it was going, I felt like I couldn't watch that in the living room because my parents were there. And, there's a lot of sexual jokes regardless of the relationship. There's a lot of sexual situations in the show, regardless of, 200-something-year-old man and a 15-year-old or 16-year-old. But anyway, so there's a lot of that anyway in the show, but like that particular, I was like, oh my God, like I can't let my parents, they'll like never let me watch this again, but the thing, when I think about it in general, the one thing I always remember the most is the moment Willow came out to Buffy. And it's this really great moment where Willow's sitting in her bed and because Oz has come back into the picture, to my dismay. I was like, why did they do that? They also did that with Riley, and it just, anyway, so she's sitting on the bed and she's holding her pillows and she is just really trying to figure things out. She has no idea what to even say. And so Buffy comes in the room gung ho about Oz. Meanwhile, Willow, it's not going to happen because she's realizing these things about herself that she didn't know before. So she tells Buffy, and there's this really great moment between them where Buffy doesn't say anything. It's not a super long moment, but it's short enough where she's thinking about the right thing to say to support her friend. And it takes her a second. And she reacts a little hesitantly, but then it's very quick to move from hesitancy to supportive. And it was one of those things where it's like coming out is such a scary thing. And it's scary to so many people for so many different reasons, to so many different types of dynamics, whether it's to tell your parents or your friends, or, if you have to have a change in relationship dynamic because you've learned something about yourself, like these things are very difficult. And to see her battling with that, her first love is back in the picture. And now she's like, yeah, but I'm not really interested anymore. Like this is where I want to be. And so, and watching the way that the group in general just embraced it. One of my favorite scenes, it's like my top 5 scene from Buffy ever, is that scene where Tara's shitty family shows up at the magic box, and he's like, you have to give her to us, and Buffy's like, fuck we do. She said, we're her family. And then it's like this whole group of people who have just welcomed Tara through this, through this extension of Willow and their closeness. And it just was the first thing I ever saw where it was like, it took sort of the complexity of the situation, but left out all the super negative stuff and just left, kind of the wholesome bits. And then and that's just always resonated with me. They were the only thing they ever did that I didn't approve of was when the final season, because I hated the Kennedy character a lot. But anyway, I loved Willow and Tara, and their relationship was full of so many complications, and almost none of them had to do with the fact that they were two women in love. And I love that, because that's like what you were talking about earlier, Steve, where it's like, you just never know if it's going to be like, it's going to be so focused on hate or so focused on the abuse or you never know. So it was a positive thing. They had relationship struggles just like everybody does, but it was not because they were queer. It had nothing to do with that. And then the second one is more of a minor shout. And I think Steve probably already knows this one, but The Haunting, 1999.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really more just because, again, I felt, I know it's not like a lot of people, I guess, don't really love that movie. I love that movie. But it's like,
I'm there with you on that one.
I know I love it so much. And I even rewatched it, and like the love has not faded at all. But Catherine Zeta-Jones, being who she is and kind of what she was at that moment in time when this movie was made. But I really particularly liked the care of the bonding between her and Nell. I'm drawing a blank on Catherine Zeta-Jones's character. I can't think of her name. Thea, thank you. And so like Theo and Nell's relationship was so interesting to me because it wasn't overly sexualized. It really was just this like Theo just really felt connected to Nell and really just wanted to like help take care of her. She's like, no, you can come stay with me. You can come and I'll keep you safe, like all these things. And I never understood, actually, because that one is one kind of like what Joshua was saying, where it's like, are they, aren't they, kind of very like kind of like it's not super, super clear one way or the other. But I think that I remember it not really resonate. I didn't realize why I like that particular dynamic was so important to me until much later in life. And I was like, that's gotta be why I just always like was drawn to those two characters and the specific scenes with them. And so that was kind of like my honorary mention, I guess. Dice says the cosplay I plan to do in the future for Phantom of the Paradise is going to require a lot of leather lord help. Don't do it in the summer.
Yeah.
That sounds miserable. I quite like that scene with Tara as well. Yeah, it's one of my favorite ones. I have like the same specific scenes that I share over and over again, and that's one of them. But yeah, it had to do with representation that was there, but from a different angle than it was presented most of the time. You see two women on screen together, and it had to be, especially in the 90s, early 2000s, like it had to be this over the top sex driven thing. And it's like, sure, fine. That's a thing, right? But also there's this other part of those relationship dynamics. And so it was just, and then, like I said, the friend group they just were so quick to embrace Tara as one of their own. And at times we're on Tara's side and not Willow's. Like it was, they were very embracing of all of that. And those were just things that just stuck with me. They always have.
Oh, absolutely. I think all the ones that each one that you all three mentioned, I'm like, okay, yeah, that was probably one of my first. the only other first I could think of, sort of all in that, like where I'm just getting into horror, that like late 90s time, is Bride of Chucky.
Oh yeah.
Is the character, I think David, what's his name? The gay best friend. So this is sort of like that, it's kind of not so great representation, but I give it a pass knowing that it's coming from Mancini and trying to get through what the studios are requiring of him at the time. He's still like not I don't think it's a terrible character, like he gets a cool death scene. I'll give him that, He gets a good death scene. It's shocking. And of course it's more of like comic relief, but it's the late 90s. And it's Don. I give it a pass. Also, just considering what Don's been able to do recently
I was
anyway.
thinking,
Yeah,
yeah, 'cause
Don's been killing it.
in Seed of Chucky, it wasn't necessarily really handled that great either, but I feel like has really attempted to make up for it with the show, with the series.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But also the fact that he even got that made with Seed
That's
of Chucky.
true.
Yeah.
I'm just thrilled by that. I'm like
true.
yeah, maybe we didn't maybe it wasn't understood properly or presented properly, but
Yeah, that's true.
how amazing is it that they did that in a big
Yeah.
budget Hollywood movie? That's
true.
That was a horror movie from the 80s.
Yeah.
And then of course as you've said, he's gone on to do amazing things with Chucky over the years. I mean, Chucky is considered a gay icon now.
I know.
I love it.
And it's fantastic. And I just
Yeah.
love that Don did that. Because, I mean, Don being a gay man himself, he really just
Well,
came in
yeah.
and he was like, this is what I'm doing. And I can only imagine how that, like, table read went for Seed of Chucky. And he probably just looked and was like, look at how well the rest of the franchise is doing. Trust me. We're doing it.
Yeah.
And look at it's phenomenal. It's great. The whole series is great. And like we all said, the Chucky series has been phenomenal. And I know that people hate that back and forth because we're coming back in that age where people are kind of hating our community again and they just don't want to see it on the screen. Then don't watch it. Don't watch it.
They never left. We were given someone in a political position that gave them a platform. So now they're louder than ever.
Yeah.
Di says Chucky supports gender fluid children.
He's
not a monster. He's not a monster. He's not a monster.
And I did want to go back to this one really quick. I know in the OG, The Haunting, there was supposed to be a scene near the beginning where Theo had a loud breakup with her girlfriend, but it was cut. Obviously, it was cut. I actually just saw the original for the first time, and the energy is way watered down in that one compared to the 90s. For obvious, I mean, that one was, I can't remember.
60s, I think.
Yeah,
because it's black and white. Am I crazy? It's black and white.
Vincent Price, isn't it?
I think it's all in black and white.
Yeah.
No. Well, some of his stuff has been redone in color. Like you can watch. Well, some of them are in color. I think I did watch. It is. I think it is still obviously in black and white. But yeah, it's old. But it's the energy with the Theo character in that one is like almost non-existent compared to what it was in the 90s. And then of course we got Theo in
Hill House. Yeah.
Hill House, which is just full on. So.
Well, I mean that's the thing. I know Shirley Jackson wrote Theo coded as queer.
I haven't read Shirley Jackson.
Academics looking back at the book since then have really looked at the Theo character, and it is interesting to see it sort of being coded the way it is in the book and the original movie, then evolving into the Catherine Zeta-Jones version, into Theo that we got on the Netflix series. Is really cool to see that evolution. And really representative of the times, right? Of because each decade that character has existed, it's just she got to be a little more and more queer each time.
She did, and because I don't think you would watch the original and even think that way. Really, I don't.
I think maybe because I knew the Theo character was meant to be queer, that when I watched it, I was like, yeah, she's got some.
Well, because obviously I went into it having the knowledge of Hill House and The Haunting 99, so I had it too. But I think if you just were watching it as it being a brand new film, I don't think you'd pick up on it at all.
Yeah, it's most 60s characters.
And
right?
I mean that at the time that was basically how they got away with it. So
you really had to overanalyze everything that the character said, did. To really find, this is something that they were, hinting at in some obscure way. And but but other than I guess David from Bride of Chucky, I mean, some non-horror things to make you laugh. It was always I got Marco from Degrassi was the other one.
Oh, I was gonna say Degrassi when you said something earlier about it not being horror. Yeah, Marco was Marco
from Degrassi, Susan Lucci's daughter on All My Children. and then yeah. So those were the other two. Well,
who
I guess
was
Will and Grace, but
the other Degrassi character though? The football player.
Oh, he came. Yeah, that was later though. That's you're talking Riley.
Is his name Riley?
Yeah, that was like 2010, I think.
I know, but the guy that plays the love interest for him is Drew from The Conjuring, and
Yes,
I'm obsessed
yes.
with him. I love him so much. Their story was like typical, like I'm a jock, I can't do this, like, and he's like, oh,
I will unleash my velvet rage. Yeah,
the most typical thing.
But I love the guy though that played the love interest. I can't remember the love interest name, and I can't think of his real name. But I just know he plays Drew in The Conjuring.
Oh man, oh god, if I guess it's gonna be Cook.
Maybe. I love him. I want more of him in the Conjuring universe. He's hilarious.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic. But yeah, I'm trying to think of any other like key like horror representations of the time. I mean, Rocky Horror. Oh, I mean, while we're talking about Rocky Horror, right? I mean, I always bring this up. If you have not seen Shock Treatment, everybody, you should watch Shock Treatment. It is wonderful.
You do bring this up.
I do bring this up all the time. This and Reefer Madness are the two things I bring up all the time.
Reefer Madness.
Steve had me watch Reefer Madness.
Those are
while I was stoned. Greatest.
Yeah.
decision.
Those are his two like things. Like
those are the two cult classic things. I wouldn't even say Shock Treatment is like a cult classic because no one freaking
Yeah.
It is like a Tupperware classic, like a Tupperware party classic. Like there's no cult. It's like 5 people in a room that know about it.
And we're 4 of them.
Yeah.
I would like to point out this is the second live thing where Tupperware has come out into the conversation.
How did we get here?
Oh my god.
What's going on?
No, the last time it went on for like 30 minutes. And then Steve mid like later on in the middle of as when we were watching Infested, he just like brought it back.
Just randomly. It was
so funny.
I
love Steve. Steve's the best.
I love a callback. You know, that's just sort of
well,
the web is like a spider's top.
And Tupperware is great in horror. I mean, Tupperware is, and there was a TV series that was on for 1 year that probably none of you know called Erie, Indiana.
Oh, yes, I remember Erie, Indiana.
I do.
And one of the first episodes was called Foreverware. And I do not know why I remember this so perfectly right now in my head. But it was a woman who sold Tupperware to everyone, and she had her 2 children, and they were creepy little twin boys, sort of like the boy versions of the Shining Girls.
Mm-hmm.
And every night she would tuck them into a giant Tupperware, and she would tuck herself into a giant Tupperware because they were that was preserving them, and they were trapped in these. They were like 40-year-old men who were trapped in these 10-year-old bodies. And she was like an 80-year-old woman who's a 40-year-old woman.
What?
This sounds nuts.
I'm gonna have to find that.
I don't remember specifics like that, but I remember.
I literally do not know why I have this so clearly and in my head right now. Tupperware was brought it up. I mean and so, but that was she was like a woman from the 50s going around doing like the cul-de-sac, going like, I've got my Tupperware for the Tupperware parties, everyone, and it was Foreverware, not Tupperware. And so she would sell it to everyone, and the whole point was for her to try to get everyone to put their children and their families into the Foreverware, so that way they would all be able to live forever. And what happens is the boys don't let her sleep in there one night. The main character, he gets the boys out of the Tupperware at night, and they say thank you, and then they get their mother out and don't let her sleep in the Tupperware Foreverware that night, and so everyone ages overnight because they didn't sleep for that one night in the Foreverware. So
just a fun fact: it is on Peacock and Tubi.
I
will be watching that
on a free
tomorrow.
one. Yeah,
I will be watching that tomorrow.
What was the title of this again?
This is called Erie, Indiana.
Erie, Indiana is the title of the
and it is episode 1. Okay, I thought it was.
It is literally
the series.
Okay,
I don't understand why.
It shows that there's only 1 season, and I think there's 19 episodes. So
yeah, it's it was one of those like it was like it was on ABC. So it was a main series show. Because it was on before the Torkelsons every night that it was on. And again, another show that I don't think anyone knows. I don't know why I mentioned that. But it was it was a show that it was like watching a serialized version of Are You Afraid of the Dark? Or actually, it's kind of like watching if any of you saw I Saw the TV Glow, it's kind of like watching that show within the show that is that's playing in that, except it's two boys instead of two girls. So
Yeah, I'll be watching this tomorrow at some point.
it's not a good
This
show.
weekend,
It's
I'm going to be
not good at all. I bought it on DVD when it came out.
Oh, I can't wait.
I had such great memories of it. I loved Erie, Indiana. I loved it. And then I bought it and I watched it. I'm like, I can't believe I watched this show. It's awful.
That's why I'm so excited. That's how I'm spending my weekend, is watching trash.
If you know the movie Hocus Pocus,
I think we both clicked.
Oh,
he's the main character from Hocus Pocus.
Oh yeah, that's what they did.
You can click the one that you were clicking, because
we
Sorry,
clicked opposite ones. Sorry.
Super fast. Read fast.
It was like I was like, wait a second, and then I realized it was a different one. Yeah. So Dice says, so this is so Dice was on chatting with us, I think, the night that the Tupperware came up. It's only when you're here, apparently, Dice, that we dive in these weird rabbit holes of Tupperware. I have in fact seen Shock Treatment, Richard O'Brien being a gender ambiguous gremlin as usual. Bliss.
My only negative comment about Shock Treatment is not enough shock treatment.
What?
Or any.
Or
Actually,
any shock treatment.
it's very
Called
funny.
that.
They sing about having to give a character shock treatment, but they actually don't do the shock treatment.
Oh my god.
I had that same problem when I just watched, because I never saw it before, but I just watched Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. And I'm like, we spend one scene in the Thunderdome. Why is it called Thunderdome?
Why
I don't understand this. Why? And I'm not a huge Mad Max person, so I didn't see any of the movies before Fury Road, and so I'm like, this doesn't make any sense to me. Why is it called Beyond Thunderdome? They only spend one scene in Thunderdome.
Well, it's beyond it, right?
Yeah,
I guess they go beyond it, but why is it so important? They put it in the title. What's so important about Thunderdome?
Aggressively long title now. Like, why?
Exactly.
Tara says,
and then the
hi.
lesser known sequel, Bed Bath and Beyond the Thunderdome.
Oh my god.
They should do a Bed Bath and Beyond horror movie where somebody gets trapped there. That would be exciting, I think.
In the Beyond.
Isn't that basically like Click? Isn't that where he gets that, like,
Oh,
right? Adam
In the
Sandler
Beyond
Yeah.
section.
in the Beyond section, he gets his remote.
but we want a horror version.
Oh, true. I
I'm
think
gonna
Adam
do
Sandler should write it.
I'm gonna do comments really quick. A bunch came in really quick. Okay. So Tara says hi. Hi. Thanks for coming by. Always happy to see your name pop up. Hi, Albert, I assume. When it's the other guy, it comes up as the other guy from Blood and Bruce. So I assume it's Albert. Guys says stop fighting over me with us clicking on the comments.
We can't help it.
I am known for appearing when sounding in Tupperware mentions
No leftovers guaranteed.
Yes.
of all the things. Anyway.
Where do we want to see queer representation go for horror? What do we want to see?
I think what they're doing now is a good leadway into everything. Because you have to remember, we just got the Chucky series, which very open about the gay relationship. If you think about the Fear Street movies, which
Yeah.
are very popular, those are representing anything. And we're almost to the point where I feel like a lot of the new horror movies I've been watching, there is some type of representation. Like I just watched that Under Paris. Yes. Watch that. Did I expect to see a gay character once? No, I
Not
didn't,
a
because I
shark
wasn't sure.
Yeah.
Because it is, the French don't care. French truly don't care. But I think we're getting to that point where you're gonna see it, and it is what it is, and not a lot of people are leaving it out anymore. I feel like they feel like it's more normal to put representation into these movies.
Yeah.
For sure. What did I just watch the other night? Not a great movie. It was one of the recent PG-13 horrors, Tarot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those makeup effects look sick, though. Those.
The guy that did the designs for the monsters is brilliant. I haven't seen the movie,
No, I
but
didn't see it yet.
I've seen what the things look like. And yeah, the guy that did those, his name is like, I know who he is too. I follow him on Twitter, but brilliant, so
Yeah.
brilliant.
Yeah, no, I mean that. Yeah, I think that's the best part is sort of the different spirits or entities sort of attached to the cards. It was very like 13 Ghosts meets like Final Destination. I guess part of me just wishes it wasn't PG-13. I'm like, you guys could have went so hard with this.
Yeah, but is it who did that one?
Well,
No.
no, it's not a Blum. I
No.
think Sony.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't think it was any big name.
Okay.
I forgot who distributed it.
I know Blumhouse has just been on this PG-13 horror kick lately. So.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about it either.
You know what? People can be mad if they want to. Imaginary was a fucking blast. I love that movie.
I didn't even see
It was
that yet.
I
so
haven't seen it yet,
fun.
no.
Oh, Screen Gems, I think, was Tarot.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm to the point where I can't see anything in theaters because being a new dad.
yeah. I don't get to
I'm
see
there with you.
anything. In
So I'm
theaters.
patiently waiting for everything. So when I
I
saw that
know,
like Under
same.
Paris came out, I just watched the first Omen last night. Like
I finally watched that too.
I
on
was
Disney Plus.
okay, that's I
The
hate that.
Saw movies are in Disney Plus. Thank you
They
very much.
are
just
all the way
went
up to number 7. Yeah,
I don't understand that, but
Like,
it's because Disney owns everything.
like I
Yeah.
get it, you're merging, but like don't put that on Disney.
It's
Like,
weird.
so-
It messed me up when I saw that the first Omen was on Disney Plus. I was like,
any child can go onto there and they're gonna be watching Saw.
You can do the ratings on
That's
there.
you
true.
could change
Yeah,
the
you can.
setting.
My son has a profile. He doesn't know how to use it, but all like the Disney Junior stuff, you know,
But
it's
see, like I did the like Disney Junior stuff, but it doesn't have like my daughter like loves The Emperor's New Groove. That is
What's not
top.
to love?
oh,
It
you
is
could do PG and under.
Oh, I don't know. I'm gonna have to figure that out because I went to like Disney Junior and they have a new Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. I was very disappointed about that. That is not the same song. Like I don't want to watch that. And then I couldn't find The Emperor's New Groove because
your
blocked
your
it.
life is about to be filled with watching a lot of shit you don't want to watch. A lot of times you don't want to watch it.
Right now we're at the Dancing Fruit and Emperor's New Groove. It's between.
We love the dancing fruit.
Oh my god.
I don't know what that is.
Go
Okay,
pineapple,
whoever
go
runs
pineapple.
that YouTube channel
Yeah, it's
has
the
to be making a ton of money because
Hey
it's
Bear
live.
Sensory.
It's 24/7. It's a live thing, and it just plays music, and there's just dancing fruit. It's a
I mean,
big thing.
my husband and I always make the joke. It's like, you want to watch some dancing fruit?
But kids
It's
love
just me
it.
dancing.
Like she
Um,
loves it. She could watch it for like a half an hour in the morning, half an hour straight.
Great. I mean, speaking of queer representation, that avocado.
What?
Angela, you're gonna have to find it. It's on
I,
YouTube.
I
If you
feel
just
like
look
my
up
son's
Dancing
not
Fruit-
going to be interested in it. He may be a little too
Oh,
old.
no,
No,
he's
it's
too
for
old.
like
Yeah, it's for our children, the
Little.
tiny ones
Littles. Yeah.
who just like watch things. That's it.
Yeah.
No.
yeah. Although I think now Andy's sort of kind of over the fruit. We're moving way away from queer representation.
Sorry.
We went to Tupperware to.
We are now
Dancing
at the
Fruit.
tired of queer and tired.
but if you want to talk about what I'm looking forward to for more of is
Yes, please.
to bring it back on track, I guess.
Thank you, Doc.
Since I have no children to reference any of this stuff and everything, I would love to see not just representation, but like the whole cast of characters being queer.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
and you see this in a lot of indie horror, but you don't see
I
this
was
in
going to say
mainstream
the
horror.
same thing.
And, and hey, I mean, as somebody who makes indie horror, I have no problem putting every single one of my characters on screen as being queer. But I would love then somebody to fund us and make us in the cinema with that. So, I just think like it shouldn't be that hard to have a cast of characters in a mainstream movie where they're all queer. I mean, it's just it would be nice to see that. And not just like a one-off, but like this is a regular thing and people see that. It would be nice. That's what I think would be nice.
I mean, with the number of movies that come out on a yearly basis, it's freaking possible.
Yeah.
It's so, yeah.
You know, we're not asking for much.
Yeah. And again, indie horror is doing it constantly. Like,
yes,
there are so many indie horror films that are coming out that are basically just queer characters and that's it. And there might be a token cishet. That's it.
Yeah.
That's what they get.
I think another big thing is like I know it's gotten a lot better, but gay characters should play gay characters. I mean, gay actors should play gay actors. Characters.
Gay actors should play. Yeah, queer actors for.
We're
queer
still in the tired section. Yes. Like I think it has gotten a lot better. I know at the beginning, like years ago, they would have somebody play a queer character, who was not queer. Like
Yeah.
there are so many, even just lower name, like trying to think of the one person from Talk to Me. They were phenomenal, but that's what we need is a queer actor playing a queer character. Keep it there. There's enough of them to do it. Give them their time and
Give
space
them the opportunity.
because it does look a lot better when it comes to the younger generation that's watching this to feel more comfortable. Because, I mean, honestly, I don't know if I would feel comfortable if I was seeing somebody who isn't actually queer in real life. Because you're like, okay, like they play that character, but does that mean it's still okay in person kind of deal?
Yeah.
Well, I think it's a different time as well. Like this is on a vain level, but like I don't know, not vain. That's probably the wrong word of it. But like anytime I see a gay character, I immediately go to their Instagram page. I'm like, in real
Yeah,
life.
I do the same thing. I Google it. I go
You know
right
what I
to
mean?
Google.
And I'm always disappointed when it's just some straight dude. I'm like, or like some whatever. But no, but it's true. You know, I think if we didn't have such a long history of cishet actors playing queer characters, there wouldn't be a need for it. But because I think that's just where we are, it's just that it brings that authenticity that you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm of two minds in that because, and again, if it was a whole cast of queer characters, then it doesn't every single person doesn't have to be, I think, played by a queer
Yeah.
person because every character is being represented, and if you happen to have one or two of the queer characters being played by a non-queer person, that's okay. I think because you're doing your best to represent across the board.
Right.
But if
Exactly.
it's only one queer character in a movie of otherwise all cishet people, then maybe yes, let's have that representation played by somebody
Be
who
more,
is
yeah.
queer. But then I also think back to movies, and again, not a horror movie, but I think back to Patrick Swayze in Tu Wong Fu, Thanks for Everything, Julie Newmar. I mean, his playing that role was, I think, very eye-opening for a lot of cishet people who were watching that movie, or maybe just saw trailers for that movie and were like, Patrick Swayze is playing a man in a dress.
Yep.
And not more than that, because the character is more trans than drag queen. But
Right.
and that was so important that he did that. Not just him too. I mean, John Leguizamo and Wesley Snipes too. But I mean. So
Yeah.
I guess I can see where it's important and where it's necessary, but I also think, like you said, Steve, this is a different time now, and I think that this is a time where we are having more and more openly queer performers out there who aren't afraid of playing queer characters and being openly queer.
Yeah.
Even back, I've been seeing pop up. I haven't read the article, but because I don't click on clickbait usually, but. Matt Bomer was saying that he lost out in the role of Superman in 2000 because he was openly gay, and he would have had the role instead of Brandon Routh in the Superman Returns. So,
Wow.
so even that's 2000. So I mean, but again, 2024 is very different, and there are a lot more people open and accepted and being accepted, and should be able to. I'm talking myself in circles really, because I also work with a lot of actors, and so I see a lot of people who are like, I want to be able to play this role, but I know that I'm not necessarily able to play this role because I'm not necessarily a queer person, but I really like this character.
Yeah.
So I see a lot more nuance in the conversation than Twitter sometimes allows for.
Yeah.
Basically.
Oh, 100%. Because I think a good argument that I also saw as well, and I think this was after the sort of I think it was the Heartstopper drama. Didn't like some
Oh.
kid get outed or something?
Yes, that the one of the kids, one of the people in it, was not out yet, I believe.
Yeah, and they were sort of like pressured out. So it's sort
Yeah,
of like I think we also have to be mindful about like how do we guarantee that a queer person plays a queer character in the sense that like we also, you know, there are going to be actors who aren't out, right? And like it's also that's such a hard thing, right? To kind of like police in a way. You know, as important as it is.
Yeah.
You know, it's a messy situation. We got here. We
but
got here because
I
it's
do,
all
I
messy.
do agree with you, Chris. In general, whenever possible,
Yeah.
I like to see queer people
Yeah.
playing queer
Mhm.
characters. I mean, that's especially if it's the only representation in the movie. I'd like
Exactly.
Yeah.
it was authentic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you get a caricature more often than a character. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. I mean, I think right. I think you know, more normalization is, you know, as far as like what I'm hoping to see is like you know, again, not the horror being not horror, not the problem being them being gay, but also I sort of wonder. I would love to see sort of sort of the queer Jordan Peele, if you will. I would love to see sort of
Yeah.
a queer horror, a slice for that kind of
Yeah.
in the sphere.
Yeah.
Well, we got to get you, you know,
I just gotta get some of that money.
we got to get you that
Exactly.
money.
Need some money.
Yeah. I was gonna add to kind of something that Joshua had said a little bit earlier about like I also would like to see representation in other dynamics, other relationship dynamics, other sexualities, other orientations, because I feel like we are starting to get more of it, but it's usually the same types. You know, it's usually you know, it's either lesbian, it's two gay men, a bisexual girl that usually ends up with a guy, you know, those kind of very like, but there's not really like I think Dice mentioned this earlier, but like there's no like there's not a bunch of like things that kind of represent like non-binary or ace or you know, because there's so many other like you know pieces of this. It's not just lesbians and gay men, like there's you know what I'm saying. And so I would like to get to a place, and again, indie filmmakers and indie writers do this. I read asexual indie horror all the time, like it is a very common thing, but we're not seeing it you know in
In
these
the
like
films.
bigger you know, and trans characters that are, you know, this it's there's it's very limited. And so it's they're getting there, but they're sticking to the comfort zone of like, well, these are the ones that we understand, right? So these are the ones that we're gonna focus on. And it would be nice to see it be bigger than that. Because most of us who are queer know somebody that's falls under everything. So it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's never just I only know lesbians. Like, you know, it's very like you may know a lot of lesbians, but typically you know, people who are a different part of the same community. And so I would like to see more of that recognized instead of just kind of pretending like it doesn't exist.
No, absolutely. We're gonna start that GoFundMe
Hmm.
for Josh. That's what's gonna happen.
thank you. Then I'll be the queer Jordan Peele. So,
There we go.
but and just oh
No, I just and more bi men, yes, and non-binary.
And just to be biased, non-binary. Yeah. There's
I
like
agree.
a part in The Good Place where Eleanor's character tells Chidi something about like, oh, just tell her that you're gay. And he's like, but I'm not gay. And she was like, bi. He goes, I'm not bi. And she goes, really? Why? She's like, why are more men not bi?
Yeah.
But just to go further with your point, Angel, I'd like for this representation to be more than just in words. Like if a character is queer, allow them to be queer and like have a queer lived in experience,
Yeah.
including sexually, even if it's an asexual sexuality.
Yeah.
But it's not. But it's so easy for them to just say we have our gay person, but they
And
never
that's all.
actually are anything
Yeah.
that's gay. They're just
Sure.
gay on paper.
Yeah, it's like weak representation at that point.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
like
just-
Avengers Endgame.
well, that that had a number of issues with representation throughout.
Yeah.
They do the same thing to people of color. They do. I mean,
They
Yeah,
do.
it's
exactly.
just, if it's not, a white cis hetero male, sorry, Elon. They like, it's just not always handled very well because yeah. Because as much as like we need the queer representation, we also need more people of color representation because the way that their stories get handled is cringy.
Mhm.
So yeah, but anyway.
Right. We tend to sort of get relegated to our own TV channels, our own, indie sphere. It's just sort of like, yeah, come on, man. But yeah. Any favorite recent examples of queer representation?
I mean, I named a few before. I said like Under Paris, the Chucky series. That was just.
Mhm.
I mean, this Chucky series has been going on.
I'm
for-
trying to think of something. I haven't been keeping up with recent things. I'm trying to think of something I've seen that even had. I got nothing. I'm drawing a blank. What have I watched? I've watched
I was gonna say
Them?
it's like I can't remember.
The Scare. That doesn't have, because that's all about a different type of representation.
Yeah.
Oh, the Scare is fantastic, though.
Under Paris, somehow I missed that there was somebody queer in that
What?
one altogether.
How did you? It's
The
one that
diver?
has chomp. The first
The
like,
shark? The shark
Oh.
is what?
No,
The shark's a lesbian?
you know what? She might be. All right,
Maybe.
Lilith is a strong.
She can
woman.
reproduce without a man. We know
She's
that
a
much.
strong woman. No, the IT techie hacker.
Yeah, when they were in the
And the diver.
catacombs.
and the
and, like,
diver.
They say that? I totally
They
missed that.
kissed.
They
What
kissed.
do you mean?
I must have, you know what? I wonder if it was at a part where my son was watching it too, and we were both watching it on my phone because he wouldn't let me watch it on the TV. It probably wasn't, I probably couldn't see the whole thing.
Oh, yeah.
I missed that
Yes.
completely.
Yeah,
I love a gay hacker. That's awesome. I have to
they
go back and
kissed
rewatch
and then done. Bye-bye.
When you did this,
Could've
I was
gone
like, the
other way.
shark. I was so
Yeah.
confused.
I was just excited for a lesbian shark for a second. I'm like, this is amazing.
Hey,
That
you know
makes
what? We
perfect
can't-
sense to
We
me.
can't take Lilith off the books. She
Well,
might.
Lesbian Shark, that's coming out on Tubi next month. You didn't know?
Yeah.
Dice says I'd seen people talking a bit of trans representation in Lisa Frankenstein. I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah, I didn't think about that.
I did love that movie though. Get you a girl who will give you at-home gender affirming. The shark. That got so dark. I'm sorry. Oh, the visuals. Okay, I'm done. I can't think of anything else. I watched Evil. Evil doesn't have.
No.
I'm just trying to think of like what new.
Yeah,
movies
I mean, I
have.
guess
Godzilla
Fear
minus
Street,
one, nothing.
like
that
you
I
brought up,
missed.
Chris, for sure, Fear Street.
Fear Street is. Really
Oh,
big.
well, I love Mindy in the Scream movies.
Yes. Mindy as
Oh, I
well.
was thinking like in the last 3 months. Okay, yeah.
That one
Mindy's fine.
counts.
I mean, last 3 months, last 3 years, it's,
It's all the same.
this decade.
Well, Tubi has a new horror movie out with drag queens fighting vampires.
Love that.
And
That's
that's
called
called Slay, I believe.
Play.
Love that.
Several of the drag queens are from RuPaul's Drag Race, so if you
Yeah.
watch that, you will recognize them.
Oh, cool.
And it's okay. It's okay. It has a lot of confused rules about vampirism in it, but that's okay.
What's
Does it play out like an acting challenge?
Some of it does,
Oh.
but only when the drag queens are involved. If everyone else in it is pretty okay.
Okay.
actually.
Steve, what's the name of the woman who did So Vam? She also did Tuck. No, what's the
Oh, the one with the she did like the goopy horror one that I like.
so she did one called So Vam, which is really, really fun story about kind of this parallel between vampirism and coming out. And it was really fun. It was a story so the creator is trans, but she wrote that story like when she was like a preteen, like she was really young when she wrote it. But I think isn't it the same person who just did Tuck? Isn't Tuck a new one?
Is it Tuck? Well, hold on. I'm like totally blanking, but I'm getting it. Alice McKay.
Thank you.
So yeah, she did the like
That is
goopy
not what it
horror one that I saw at the Brooklyn Festival.
No, what's the other one about being I'm pretty sure it's trans horror. Oh my God, what is the name of it?
Well, T Blockers is the one that she.
Oh
Also
my
did.
God, that's what I was thinking of. T
Yeah,
Blocker.
no by her.
Is that the
That
same
was really good.
person?
Same person, Alice.
Okay,
Yeah.
thought so.
T
Okay.
Block is
But
getting a lot of love on Twitter. I see that a lot.
She's well, if it's anywhere near like I love especially if you like campy horror. Sovam is very campy, but I just really liked it a lot. I haven't seen T Blockers yet, but it is on my list.
Yeah,
I saw Saint Drogo a couple months ago.
Yeah.
I mentioned that to you, Angel. I think it's
Yeah.
super queer. It's only queer people basically are in it.
That's by Brandon.
Brandon and Monster Makeup in Rhode Island. So they also did the drag queen slasher Death Drop Gorgeous a couple years back.
Death Drop Gorgeous is the other one with drag queens. I couldn't think of what it was. Okay.
Slay and Death Drop Gorgeous are very different drag queen killer movies. Very, very different films. And then Saint Drogo is I think the most recent one that I saw that has explicit queer representation. And that's indie horror. I know that. I haven't seen it yet, but the People's Joker is classified as horror a lot of times. And that's by Vera Drew, who is basically it's the story of her coming out as trans, told through the lens of the Joker from Batman and Robin Joker kind of thing.
Interesting.
That's very cool.
There was another indie film that came out a couple years ago. It was a Shudder exclusive. Tasha and I actually interviewed the writer director. It's called The Last Thing Mary Saw. And it's got Judith Roberts in it, who is like horror royalty for me. She plays Mary Shaw in Dead Silence. Mm-hmm. It also has, I can never remember her damn name, the woman that plays the orphan.
Oh.
I can never remember her name. But
I know who you're talking about.
Oh, Esther from The Orphan.
Esther, yeah.
I don't remember.
Whatever her name is, she's in it. But it's this story about, it takes place in like, I don't know, 1600s, we'll say. And it's like, or maybe 1700s, but it's like old school, like back in the day. And it's like, it's a period piece about these two girls. One works there, one lives there, and they're very much in love and they can't be together because of the family. But there's this whole like witchy cult kind of, anyway, it's really good. Oh, it also has Rory Culkin in it. That's the other one.
Very cool.
It's really good. It's called The Last Thing Mary Saw. But that one, even though that one is very much on that same thing of like, it's all about the hate, it actually had a really good storyline though. And there was definitely some like weird atmospheric things. I mean, Judith Roberts is just, when she's on screen, she just demands your attention. But it was really, really good. But it was another one that I felt like it approached the subject matter a little bit better than some of the other ones that do, especially because it's from the religious side of things.
It's hard to do a period piece without the hate, right? Because you have to think.
No, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even though they had to sneak around to be together, I still felt like you still got a lot out of the story besides the fact that that wasn't a lot. You know what I mean? Like, so no, 100%. Yeah. But it was, anyway, that one's really good. The Last Thing Mary Saw, I really liked that one.
Oh, there's Suitable Flesh that has lesbian, bisexual, or trans representation. Well, it's essentially the movie's essentially an excuse for two women to kiss, basically.
Gotta love those movies.
Heather Graham and Barbara Crampton, I think, to make out. But it's a body swap film dealing with women and a doctor swapping bodies with her patient and everything. And It's not very. The friends I watched it with did not enjoy it at all. I thought that it had some interesting moments to it. So
Yeah, it didn't sound like something I would be a fan of, so I didn't watch it. That's why I didn't even know that. Like I thought it was just about a woman sleeping with her patient. I mean, I knew there was the body swap element, but I thought, you know what I mean? He's like younger or something, right? That's that movie, right?
oh, but it's yes.
Okay.
And that's the other thing. Yeah. Well, that's where it gets into this weird realm of, is it trans representation? Is it not? Is it
Ah,
lesbian representation? Is it not? Is it what's going on here, kind of thing?
yeah.
So there's some elements to that are a little odd. But yeah, that's one of those other films that I saw recently.
Yeah.
But really, everything I've seen that's got explicit queer representation in recent months is from the indie sphere. So
That's most.
Indie's where it's
most
at.
of it.
I saw when the Trash Man Knocks on Tubi, which is a film about a slasher about a man who kills people and puts them in trash bags.
Somebody
Nice.
else posted about that recently, about watching that.
It's probably me that you're.
I thought no, I think it's what's the other guy that's always like super on top of Tubi like indie films? Jeff Whitmer.
Oh,
Oh,
maybe.
yeah.
He
Yeah.
watches a lot. He just like I'm like, I'd never even heard of this stuff. But I think it may have been him actually. Somebody else though, I think posted about it recently. Maybe it was you, but I thought it was somebody different. But yeah.
Tubi will surprise you.
Yeah.
With some good
Tubi
ones
has some
there.
good stuff.
It will.
If they could just get rid of their ads, that would be great.
Yeah.
So
But
much
then we'd
better.
have to pay for it. So
That's
That's-
true.
Disney Plus has ads. That was new to me.
Disney Plus has ads for the Hulu stuff.
For Hulu.
If you
Oh
watch
shit! You're kidding me.
if you
Yeah.
watch a Disney movie, it'll go all the way through.
Disney
So the
stuff
first
is no.
Omen had commercials.
yep.
Yeah.
Unless
And
you pay for the commercial free version of Hulu.
So I watched
I'm not.
I watched the first Omen on Hulu and not on Disney. And
Well,
didn't
I
have
don't
any
pay for
ads.
that. I don't have the no ad Hulu either.
I don't know how I have it because I don't pay for the no ad Hulu. I pay for the triple play of ESPN, Disney, and Hulu. So I don't know if that automatically gets it, but I didn't see one ad when I watched it.
Yeah, I
even though
watched
it
Well,
showed-
Disney and Hulu officially merged. I get it for free from my Verizon
Yeah.
wireless.
Yeah,
That's
mine
how
goes
I get it.
through.
Somebody I
mine goes
know
through
has Verizon, and I just have their login.
That's what I do. Is mine's through Verizon, and it's the triple play of all.
I
three.
didn't realize that Verizon did Hulu for free.
They
we
do
might-
Hulu, Disney, and ESPN.
We should
That's
probably
what I-
cancel our Hulu then and switch to that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you go on if you have Verizon Wireless, go on the offers thing on their
Mhm,
app, and you should be able to
You
activate
can
it.
bundle a bunch of them like that. It's
Yeah.
just it ends up being the same as what we had with cable.
Yeah, no, well, that's the thing that's happening right now. And then Prime has ads now too. So
Yep.
Yeah.
and I think Netflix is supposed to be moving into ads.
Netflix is going to move to ads, which I think only leaves Shutter.
Yeah.
No ads.
Well, Paramount doesn't have ads, I don't think.
Oh, and Max doesn't have it right now.
And Max doesn't have
Oh, and
ads.
Max doesn't. You're right.
Yeah.
I definitely get commercials on Paramount though.
Mhm.
Really?
Yeah.
I
Remember
You're
I
just
don't
living
remember
bougie over there. You just got like
No,
the top notch.
maybe I don't get ads during the movies, but if I watch a Paramount show, I get
Paramount will
ads.
usually put something at the very beginning.
Yeah, I do get an
I
ad.
get that at
It's
the
like
very
the same thing
beginning.
with
Yeah.
Peacock.
Peacock does the same thing.
But
I
we don't
love
get
that.
ads.
Interrupt the show.
I wish they all did that. I wish they all did that and just did it where like you just had them at the beginning. I
Yeah.
love that so much. Although I've noticed if you watch Peacock too much, like if you watch two movies back to back, it'll interrupt your second movie. It only
Really?
does it for like the first movie that you do in like, the first
Interesting.
in 24 hours or whatever it is.
Hey, companies, you want to celebrate Pride? Get rid of our ads.
Yeah, exactly. You're homophobic.
Don't change your logo to a rainbow. Get rid of ads.
Yeah.
Exactly. Do it.
I'm queer and tired. I don't want commercials.
Queer time. I don't have time to watch commercials.
Or maybe put out a queer horror movie in June. I don't know. That'd be
Yeah.
That'd be
too.
nice.
True.
Oh, yeah, that's an obvious one, right? I mean,
Yeah, where are the gay movies this month?
Well, Indy's putting them out all the time. So
Yeah.
No, I'm looking at, Paramount.
Under Paris, that was your gay movie apparently for June.
Yep.
The lesbian shark. Yeah.
Yeah, the lesbian shark, exactly. And clearly Angel has to rewatch because she didn't even know that they were gay.
I did not. I was like, who could they be? I was like, thinking about the
I
characters.
saw the two of them together when they first went down to the little hacking place, and I was like, they're dating, no doubt in my mind. And then that kiss sealed it, and I was like, yep, I knew it. It happened.
But I'm just trying to think of all the major horror movies that came out this year, and really, I can't really think of, because if you start in January was Night Swim, and
That's very straight.
And I don't know if anything else came out in January, but then there was Lisa Frankenstein, and that is queer-ish.
Yeah.
Imaginary. If is a very different movie, but similar premise.
Imaginary
That's the kid version.
Immaculate.
Immaculate, no.
The First Omen.
Nope.
Yeah, we're slacking.
Tarot had two.
Hmm.
And Tarot has made a lot of money for a movie that people did not like. So
Yeah.
I have not heard a single positive thing about that movie. I haven't seen it yet.
But it only cost $8 million to make, and it's made like $48 million.
Oh,
Oh, all right. So that's good for them.
Mhm.
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
So we're gonna get Tarot 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
Abigail?
Yeah.
No.
Which one?
Abigail didn't.
I don't think so.
Did Winnie the Pooh?
Winnie.
Winnie's gay? I would love that. That'd be amazing. I know plenty of bears who'd be thrilled about that.
Steve's headcanon, he is.
Yeah.
No. Oh, yeah. I have
Yeah,
no
they're
idea.
slacking.
They are really, truly. I don't know what else is coming out that could potentially have.
Scream.
Let me just Google 20.
Scream won't be till next year, though.
Oh yeah.
Horror movies. What's
Horror
next year?
movies. Scream is probably next year.
Oh, Scream. The way Scream 7's looking, they're not going to have any representation. The cast that I'm seeing so far.
Yeah.
Literally everyone who has been rumored to be in that cast is I think cishet, white.
I doubt that Nosferatu does. Long Legs, I know nothing about as far as.
I don't think that's going to be either.
I don't think A Quiet Place Day One will.
No.
Frogman had, but that's indie.
Oh, Frogman did?
Mm-hmm.
I'll have to see that. Maxine might.
Maxine, I think will.
Maxine, better.
Yeah.
I doubt Terrifier 3 will.
I don't know.
Art?
Terrifier, they kind of do whatever.
All the
They
main
might.
characters are gay for Steve. I mean, not for Steve, but in Steve's head.
I mean, in my head, that's how it works too. I generally assume everyone is queer unless I hear otherwise. So.
Oh my god.
I don't think The Watcher did. Or Watchers, not The Watcher.
I don't think so.
I doubt that Trap does.
No.
I doubt that the Mickey Mouse horror movie is coming out. And has
Steamboat Willie.
Mousetrap.
Willie.
Oh, Mousetrap. There's the other one too. They announced who was playing the.
Oh, would Alien Romulus maybe?
I said that.
You did?
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah, that one could. I don't know if they were going to, but there's potential there.
Yeah.
Saw 11 might.
Possible.
I would love it. Beetlejuice did.
Yeah.
Of any of them, really. Yeah, that would be.
That would be
well,
fun.
I saw the TV Glow is
Oh, well, yeah, that's massive trans representation.
yeah. Oh, In a Violent Nature did.
Oh, did it? I haven't seen that yet. So
very brief, but that's just because every character had a brief appearance because your POV's the killer. So
yeah, so basically every character you see for 2 minutes and then
Exactly.
Yeah.
Then they're dead.
But
which
yeah,
is an interesting premise. So maybe the killer might be asexual. Who knows?
It's true.
It was really cool though. I was a fan. And then yeah.
So then that just means that somebody has to buy my 2 movies and put them into the cinema right now, because
Yeah.
we have no
And
peer
then
Exactly.
representation.
Make
So-
it so much easier.
We'll put it in.
There we go. Let's
Oh,
write
I mean Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmare. I mean Peter Pan. I mean
We all know that.
Captain Hook, I think, is more likely.
True.
Him and Smee.
Is Hook gonna be in it? No, probably not.
I have no
I
idea.
hope he is.
I just love those stupid movies so much.
What's not to
Anywho,
Maybe Bambi, whatever the nightmare story is for that. So, or Pinocchio on string could be.
Oh yeah.
That's true.
Oh.
Dice says Captain Hook is a closeted queen. We know this.
Facts.
Well, look at his wardrobe, of course.
The
Exactly.
wardrobe is a dead giveaway.
I also sort of get like Drag King vibes from Captain Hook, though, a little bit.
Oh
No, I
yeah.
can see that too.
You know,
Absolutely.
but yeah, no, all right. I mean, that's really, I think, all the possibilities, at least as far as the mainstream horror goes.
And then
Yeah.
2025, Megan 2.0. So,
Icon.
I mean, Megan is our icon. So,
Icon. I
Megan.
mean, move over Judy Garland. I mean, all right. Well, Angel, I know you wanted to keep it semi-short this evening.
Yeah, I've got packing. I'm moving 3 days, and as you can see, I'm not done packing yet.
Boxes.
Semi short is fantastic. I have to work tomorrow now, so tomorrow.
Well, thank you everybody for joining us and celebrating Pride and
On that note, bye.
going on this
Bye.
bye.
Bye. We're queer and tired. We're queer and tired. Please.
We're tired. Good night. That should be my sign off on everything I do.
Yes.
From now on.
But thank you so much for celebrating horror and queer representation with us and going on this meandering rainbow road of tangents. Can't say what are words. Be sure to give Chris a follow at what is your at?
The love for horror.
The love for horror.
Basically everything, I think.
It is, yeah. It's just missing an R on one of them or something.
Oh, because somebody else had it. So I think it's like a 1. I
Bitches.
don't know.
Yeah.
Like the love for horror one.
If you
right?
start typing it, it'll come up.
Yeah, it's just me.
Josh, we have him at Sidekick Productions, right?
At Sidekick Productions, everywhere except Twitter, where it's at Sidekick Prod.
Sidekick Prod. Angel, you know to find her at Voices from the Mausoleum or at Voice. I don't know. Is it different on the other ones?
It is because some of them were taken. Voices FTM and From Mausoleum.
Yeah,
And I'm at Poltergeist Steve. I'm there. and as a reminder, right? Proceeds for our Pride March do go to the Coalition for the Homeless. So don't forget to check those out.
Links in the description.
Link is in the description. And happy Pride, and thank you everyone for joining.
Bye-bye.
Bye.